These conversations happened on the evening of October 13, 2020, at Jane's Bar in a usually quiet town in Indiana. Everything you hear is true and plausible.
You know, I remember sitting back and watching Obama when I was home one night on one of his many family vacations, wondering if he was thinking about all that horror going on while he lined up to play putt-putt golf.
Yeah. Hey, and he kept doing it like he didn't give a crap. Oh, like his trip to Cuba at that baseball game, laughing, waving at the crowd again, right after the bombings in Brussels with 2 Americans killed. Saying he showed the terror stuff like that can't affect us. Playing his fiddle while Brussels burns.
Hey,
hold on. Listen, the only thing he did more than travel and play golf was to raise money from those high-dollar folks he knew that realized that to play the game of politics, it takes money.
Hey!
What?
That way with all of them. Don't just blame everything on Obama.
Oh, please, man. Look what he did to this country with all his hope and change, right? Dude, I got no hope left. I got a little change in my pockets, even when I'm done paying my damn bills. Oh, and now him and his wife, they're big multimillionaires with their books, right? And what the hell do you know anyway, man? You weren't even around to compare him to anybody else.
I could compare him to Trump. At least Obama brought people together instead of picking fights with everyone like Trump.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's not true.
Hey, and I was around when Bush got us into Iraq. Tell me what Obama did that was worse than that. At least he got Osama bin Laden. Bush got thousands of troops and over 100,000 of innocent Iraqi citizens killed.
And I've been around long enough to know that all the politicians complaining about Obama haven't done anything to make our lives better.
Remember when Trump was complaining about Obama playing too much golf? Now he's playing a lot more than Obama ever did.
Yeah, and he gets to play on one of his own private golf courses.
No difference between any of them. They're all the same, taking care of each other, them against us.
Remember Bill Obama didn't realize his freaking mic was still on when he was whispering to the Russian president about screwing with the missile defense plans after he's freaking elected, huh?
What do you call that? That's some pretty serious shit now, isn't it?
Yeah, almost as serious as Trump working with Putin and the Russians to win his election.
Oh, God.
Oh, you said that never happened. And you know what? Obama did the same thing. He interfered in Israel's election. And then you know what he did? He sold us and them out to Iran, and it was a fucking terrorist, and took $2 billion in cash. What about that, man?
Bush, listen, because Bush left an out-of-control nuclear deal in Iran. And Bush was behind a coup in Venezuela to try and get rid of Chavez, their elected president, causing them to go over to the Russians, now with a drug dealer Maduro in charge.
Whatever.
A lot worse than interfering in an election.
Yeah, well, you think our CIA influences other countries' elections? Don't you think Manafort was in Ukraine screwing around with the Russians?
Even so, we don't know what's going on. And it's like, y'all don't agree on anything.
Yeah, I bet 100% of us will agree, and 50% of us don't know what the hell they're talking about anymore.
And it's been this way before. Just look at how the acts of our own government split us up before, especially with the wars we've had, right?
Yeah, hey, remember those papers that snuck out of the Pentagon that showed our leaders got 50,000 of our soldiers killed in Vietnam after they predicted we were going to lose the war?
Yeah, that was in the Washington Post exposing it all, and no one went to jail.
And now the Washington Post wants to send Julian Assange to jail for exposing the same kind of corruption that they exposed.
And those were war crimes committed against our own troops.
Yeah, and the whole reason we went to war in the first place is because someone made up a story about our warships being attacked by the North Vietnamese. A made-up story. Remember that?
I remember that. That was just an excuse to go to war and have 50,000 killed. 50,000? Do you hear what I'm saying? 50,000?
Like the weapons of mass destruction. They got us into Iraq.
Fathers, sons, and daughters giving their lives on a whim.
Yeah, Jimmy Coffey. Man, he was the toughest kid in our high school. He returned home in a flag-draped casket.
A woman I teach with still talks about her brother, Richard Smalls, one of those poor black kids drafted in the army from Bed-Stuy. Never heard of Vietnam, never came back.
They drafted poor kids and black kids who to them were expendable.
Yeah, but you know what? I had a friend of mine back home named Chris Silleroy. This kid had his future laid out in front of him. He goes one night, volunteers, becomes a commander in a tugboat. You know what happens to him? He gets shot in the goddamn head. I mean, he winds up living a long life with the help of his sister. But here's a guy who thought a hero with lost dreams. 50,000 who deserved a better future died as our leaders sent our kids and brothers to go get killed and maimed while their kids stayed home. How weak and submissive have we become?
Well, John McCain and Joe Biden had kids who served in
Oh,
combat.
As the Trump kids go on safaris to kill defenseless wild animals using a rifle with a scope.
Hey, come on, guys. You're all right. Well, let's focus on the corruption of our government and how we're going to get our voices heard.
Well, all this stuff about our wars is about corruption and how they're making money off of lives they just throw away.
And no one's held accountable for anything anymore.
Yeah, because we're spending so much time trying to escape all this crap that we don't take the time to change what's actually going on.
Well, we're not escaping anything right now. We've got plenty of time to think about all this crap that's been happening that's got us to where we're at.
Yeah, right. The impeachment leading to the virus, leading to businesses closing, to jobs lost, and a recession all in 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, remember there was football, basketball, and every other sport on TV every night. And remember when people thought Sundays belonged to churches who then believed football owned that day.
Just don't be complaining about my Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
On Saturdays, we had all the car racing, the sprint car, stock car, pro scar, NASCAR.
Hang on, pro scar.
I'm sorry. That's where I take my prostate, okay?
Oh, man, really?
I got to piss 100 times a night, man. It's just another freaking distraction. But,
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I remember when sex was the greatest, most basic distraction of all.
And we're still all animals. I was watching Animal Planet the other night, and I wasn't sure if the animals were imitating us or we were imitating them. Such goings on.
Yeah, whether on the plains of Africa, the lots of Hollywood, or the hallowed halls of Congress, if you've got the power, you've got it made in the shade.
And there are wild animals in every one of those places.
Yeah. And with all this shit going on, the rich and powerful still have no limits. They can do whatever they want to whoever they want. It's all about the power.
Oh, yeah, and remember how horrible it was for all these young women invited to meetings and then have Harvey Weinstein and all these other high-dollar lowlies suddenly drop their pants and look like they're practicing for an Olympic curling event as they're giving dictation.
Is that what they called it?
Well, some who want to be successful may think it's required.
hey, if some of those ladies just started laughing at me, I'll just stop them.
Yeah, and what? Old Harvey would have probably had to enroll in what? Erectile dysfunction therapy? And he'd never be able to do it again.
Oh, and money has so much power that it can buy the acceptance of Jeffrey Epstein and all these other powerful sick celebrities as their abuse of young girls hides in plain sight.
Hey, listen, let's not forget that there's not many more groups more powerful than Congress, whose members have been raiding this treasury for over $17 million in settlement payments to help cover up these sexual exploits.
Yeah, a friend of mine from college went to Washington to intern for a congressman. She came back suddenly with a full scholarship, a job, and says she's not allowed to talk about her relationship.
Yeah, and they have their staff get paid, not have to show up to the office. Children born and abortions as a result of all these affairs, blackmail, extortion, all over the place. All those payouts, including that $17 million, is money that you're paying so they can stay in Congress and out of jail.
Well, those people who know the secrets have the most power.
With members trading their votes to keep people quiet.
Yeah, and some never make it home, like that young intern, Chandra Levy, who disappeared while having an affair with a California congressman.
Yeah, that was 68-year-old happily married Congressman Gary Condit. Swore it wasn't true until they found his sperm on her underwear.
Oh, like Bill Clinton's sperm they found on intern Monica Lewinsky's dress after he swore, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And they were doing it in the Oval Office.
That was good.
I might have left some spare change on the lady's couch sometimes, but whoa, sperm?
Listen, unfortunately, it doesn't have a good ending. They found Chandra's remains a year later in the woods of a park where she used to run only 3 miles from his apartment.
One suspect got let go because of lack of evidence, and Condit, the other suspect, lost his re-election.
Yeah, well, then you had that 88-year-old Congressman John Conyers, Dean of Congress. He was forced to resign by threatening a college intern after she refused to have sex with him, saying that he knew what happened to Chandra Levy.
Did the FBI at least ask him what he knew?
Well, then another intern actually accused Conyers putting his hand up her skirt as they sat next to each other in church. Oh, and then he paid a whole bunch of your treasury money to settle another one of his sexual complaints. Still gets paid his $140,000 a year pension, though.
The rest of Congress didn't know about that one either, right, hon?
And what's the difference between him and Epstein and the acceptance of such behavior?
Not much. Even now, with both having died without receiving any punishment for that behavior.
Oh, yeah, the House Ethics Committee calls that Treasury fund using official resources for impermissible personal purposes.
Oh, whoa. Doesn't that sound, if you say that fast 3 times, that you're proposing to screw your interns and constituents to propose to use your personal parts for pleasuring yourself?
And it's like, if those in Congress can get away with sexual assault, why would anyone bother reporting it if it happened to them?